Hi, this is Bruce Himmelblau, Blue Sky Video Productions. Today's show is called When, see, a perfect example. When things go wrong, don't go with them. So let's get into the show. So hi, this is Bruce Himmelblau once again. I'm a live stream producer and YouTube strategist. And today is a perfect example of when things go wrong, don't go with them. So first of all, we start off with the introductions. Remember the title of your show if you're going to introduce your show. Also remember the name of your guest if you're going to introduce your guests. So the way this show kind of got started was I had a guest scheduled for today, and he had a conflict and he could not make it. So I had additional options of things to do, and want to welcome our guests, our viewers. Hi, Randy. Thanks for joining us. And so to get to the story about what to do when your guest cancels at the last minute. So do you have different options and ways to avoid that as well? So when they cancel at the last minute, you can either scramble around for another guest. It's always good to have someone who is available to jump in as a last minute guest if you ever lose your guest. The other option is to cancel the show altogether and say, okay, well, I don't have a guest. I'm not going to go do an interview show. The third option is to do something like this, do a special episode of your show by yourself. And so I just chose to do that. And I've been doing this live stream, this BSVP on site for over a year. We started back in March of 2020. And I've had over 50, 60 guests. I've done maybe 2 or 3 of these as a single standalone show by myself. And the reason why most of the time I do these with a guest is because this is an interview show and not a kind of a here's information on my experience type show. I know there's a lot out there which are commonly called talking heads that convey good information, and the shows run anywhere from 5 minutes on up to half an hour. I've seen some shows go as long as an hour if you've got an active community in the chat. So today I decided to do this show special. And so as far as doing a show like this, you want to be prepared. You don't want to wing it. So one of the options I did was I created a spreadsheet of topics I wanted to cover, as well as load them into this platform, which is called StreamYard. It has the ability to add banners. So here is the topic we're talking about right now: guests cancel at the last minute. And so another story about guests not being able to join the stream is guests can't get on the live stream, whether that's a Zoom meeting or something like this, StreamYard. In most cases, it is straightforward. You just click the link that the host gives you and you go live with them. But sometimes they're on a PC or else they're on a Mac running a platform or browser like Safari. The one thing peculiar about this platform, StreamYard, is that it only really accepts or works well using Chrome and Firefox. And so we actually just recently, we were doing a show where the guest was using Safari for all of their internet streams. And so we had to figure out why they were having trouble getting on the stream. And if you do enough of these, you kind of get an idea of narrowing it down to, okay, most cases, the guest is on the wrong browser. And So what we did was immediately say, okay, well, we need to download the browser. And then in most cases, the browser downloads, and then they start trying to get back into the platform. Well, the trick is you actually have to either shut down the entire browser, or in most cases, restart your entire computer. And so, which is not calls for another topic is don't have your guests log in at the last minute. So continue with the story about what we did we narrowed it down to it was a browser. So he downloaded Chrome and then immediately tried to get back into the stream, and it didn't work. So we had him so actually, instead of trying to talk to him through the platform, because he was able to actually hear us in the green room, but we couldn't hear him. So I picked up my phone, gave him a call. We went through the process over the phone, and when he had everything, computer restarted and the browser installed, the show came. He was able to log in and get access. So there are some tricks that you learn over time because and they're not immediately evident. So again, hi Joe, thanks for joining me. Joe is also another person who does live streams. Randy's also another person who does live streams. If you want to share some of your live stream stories, I can put the link to join me on this specific StreamYard, and you can actually join me live on this so that you can share some of your stories, or else you can just kind of type them into the chat. So getting onto live stream is always an issue. A good thing to do also is don't wait until the last minute to test out the system. As soon as you book your guests, whether it is a month ahead of time or a week ahead of time, get on the phone, set up a preliminary stream and do a test. Have them log in, have them test out the system, and make sure they can get online. There's also a great time to do a quick pre-interview with them, so that if you're not totally familiar with who they are, what they do, you can kind of do a pre-conversation with them, kind of get to an idea of who they are, what they do, if they have any sort of program that they're going to be doing soon, promoting a new book, promoting a program, a webinar, a seminar, a conference. Those are all questions you can ask them ahead of time and take notes. And so you can actually create your questions based on those notes, as opposed to trying to do maybe some preliminary research on them by Googling them and going to their LinkedIn profile and seeing what they've posted on their social media recently, and then trying to ask the questions that you think would be interesting, which in some cases they say, well, that post was just for my family and I really don't want to talk about that. So then that's kind of an awkward moment. So when you do book them for their show, send them a confirmation of the show, time and links so they can log in. Also send them links to the public platforms. So right now we're on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. And you can send those links to your guests and they can share them out to their audience and have them tune into the show and participate with that. Also, by having the link to the actual background to log into this platform like StreamYard, you can add that to the calendar so they're not searching through their email, trying to find which email did you send. I know we've been sending emails back and forth. What was the link in every single one? Was it only in the first one? Was it only in the last one? So by having it in your calendar and sending them a calendar invite, all they need to do is confirm that they are booked for your date and time, and right time zone, because sometimes if you say, well, my show is on at 11 o'clock, well, your guest is calling in from New York and it's 12 o'clock there. So they're on an hour early, and all of a sudden they say, well, there's nothing here. Even worse, your guest is from California, and at 11 o'clock, you're wondering where they are. So they don't show up on time or not at all. So you want to confirm with them date, time, and specific time zone, as well as confirming with them at least a couple of days beforehand, so that you know if there is a conflict and it turns out that they can't make it, you have time to regroup. Or it comes time, I've had one guest who I told, well, the show starts 11 Central, 9 Pacific. And he says, perfect. I will log on at 9 Pacific, which is basically what time the show's supposed to start, and which gives you no time for prep. You're on the phone with them, panicking. Do they remember that the show's going on? They're supposed to be a guest, and if they're not answering their text, not answering the phone, but they're like kind of getting ready, brushing their teeth, combing their hair, getting ready, and knowing that they're going to be there at 9 o'clock. You, on the other hand, as the host, are panicking, like, where are they? Where are they? So have them log in 10, 15, maybe in some cases 30 minutes ahead of time. If there's a lot of prep work that needs to be done, 30 minutes is great, especially if you know there's going to be an issue with them logging on. So if they've been on the platform before, if they're familiar with the show, if you've gone through all the tests, 10 minutes is probably good enough. That gives you a chance to make sure that their lighting is okay, their sound is okay, and their framing is okay. As you notice, at once I kind of adjusted my framing. So a lot of times, sometimes the person comes on and they get a big window behind them, or it's a nice day out there, so they decided to be outside to when they're doing your show. The problem is with that is it's a nice day, no clouds, big bright sky, they're silhouetted. It's almost like doing something like this, turning off your light and having the backlight, and all of a sudden it's not the best quality. So I usually recommend positioning a light off to the side. If you wear glasses, you're going to have an issue with the glasses reflecting the light if you put them right in front of you. If you by positioning the light off to the side, then it's more of a fill. This is more of a key light. I've got another light here as a fill light and a backlight here behind me. If I didn't have this backlight, wearing this black jacket or dark jacket, a dark shirt, I would pretty much fade into the background, and it looked like basically just almost a floating head, which is something you really, really don't want. So again, by having them come out ahead of time, you actually have a chance to correct all those issues. Having a microphone as opposed to going with their computer mic. A number of times I've been on this platform and it defaulted back to the computer microphone, and I didn't notice. When the show was over, I went back and it's like, why was the audio so bad? It was because I did not check the camera mic settings ahead of time. And so even if you know it's been set correctly, even though you've done this 100 times, it's a good practice to go click on where in this platform it says audio, click on the audio tab, and make sure you're on the correct microphone. Because if I were on the incorrect microphone, it would sound like this. So now I've switched it over to the computer microphone, and it doesn't sound as clear, doesn't sound as bright. And how do I know this? I don't, because I'm only guessing at this. So another thing, another tip is have some sort of monitor. Right now I'm running the show on my phone. So if I can turn it up a little bit, and then so by monitoring your stream, uh, especially if you're doing this solo, so all you have is your audience to give you feedback on your audio, and sometimes the audience doesn't really realize the quality difference between using a external microphone or using an internal microphone. And so they will most likely say sounds good or sounds good enough. And if you're a perfectionist, pretty much like I sometimes am, you want good audio, you want good lighting, and you want good framing. And thank you, Wes. And Wes is another person who does live stream. So I got a great audience of live streamers, so that if you'd like to share some of your stories, type in some of your mistakes or your what's gone wrong with some of your shows, because it's usually one of my great sayings is it's you learn from your mistakes, but it's better to learn from others' mistakes, so that they make the mistake, then they share those mistakes with you, and then you know not to make those mistakes yourself. And with live streaming, there's no second take. It's live or it's not at all. And again, that's another option you have, is if you do a live stream and it goes horribly wrong, you can delete it. You can unlist it. You can make it private, so that only those who were there to witness the live stream and all of the things that occurred were the only ones that can prove it. So there's a great series. Actually, there was a play that I saw in New York. It was called The Play That Goes Wrong, and everything went wrong with the play. And one of my favorite parts was the actor is in pain, and the audience is laughing because of the humorous effect of the show. And so he's yelling out to the audience, basically, I can hear you. This isn't television. So in this case, if you're laughing, if you're sharing something, I can't hear you, but you can hear me. So here's a great example. Okay, so when you're doing green screen, blue screen, video recording, be careful not to wear a shirt that's the same color. Excellent. So if you're wearing a green shirt against a green background, or even more, because I know we were doing this with West, and we were able to correct this ahead of the show. So what happened was he's doing a green screen, and a portion of his shirt is close to that green color. So the elements of that would be, you can now see through him and see the background, or whatever, the green screen background. So you want to avoid that. If you're wearing a green shirt against green background, your body basically disappears. And then basically all you have is your talking head, and which is great if you're trying to do that on purpose. It is not so great if you're doing an interview show. So another example of things you want to make sure of is check your connection. So over the past few weeks, I've got a system that automatically backs up the entire system on pretty much a daily basis. And so the system went into auto backup at the same time that I was live streaming. And the image basically really got bogged down. And so from my point of view, talking directly to the camera, the internal camera looked crisp and clear. However, I'm also running a second computer where I'm able to bring up the comments and the banners. On that computer, it looked really, really broken up and really distorted and really pixelated and really grainy. And we discovered that it was because the system went into auto backup and was backing up the files into the cloud at the same time we're trying to stream. So you want to avoid running any other programs. If you can, one suggestion is to actually shut down your entire system, because sometimes things get caught up in cache that kind of take up your cache in your memory, and you can't stream as well. Another thing is to have a number of your tabs open. If you're one of those who basically shares or tries to remember what tabs you went to just by leaving them open, and you've got 20 of your tabs open, that's going to bog down your system. So you want to eliminate as many, or most likely all of your non-used browser tabs. And another thing is to run a program is called Speed Test. And this is a great program. Basically, it's you just type in speed test into Google, and this is the first one that pops up. There's one part speed test, another one by Ookla. So all you got to do is just hit that one button, and it runs your speed test. Now, this first of all is excellent download speeds. What this basically tells you is that you can be downloading additional content to your computer. However, this one, this 19.5, 19.7, 19.6 number we're getting, that's your upload speed. That is what determines how well your stream is going to be coming through. So you need, rule of thumb is usually 8 megabits per second upload per stream. So if you're running two systems like I am, then you want to have at least 16 megabits per second. And right now you saw you run around 19. So again, that's kind of borderline. So another comment from Wes. I told Bruce I don't mind if you don't mind. Bruce said I mind, so I changed it. Talking about his shirt. So the fact that he had the shirt that was green screened. So yeah, again, it's distracting. You want to avoid as many distractions as possible, especially if you are doing your live stream by yourself. So if you plan on bringing up any sort of content, you want to have that in the queue. So you're not typing in web addresses or trying to pull up a video file that's on your computer somewhere, or trying to share your screen, or trying to share your guest screen as well. So you want to avoid as many distractions. So good, because when you get distractions, you lose your train of thought. When you lose your train of thought, you just kind of, oh, is that a squirrel? Oh, look, it's a rabbit too. Okay, so getting off topic. So again, by keeping it simple, and that's basically the key to this. The KISS method, keep it simple, stupid, or keep it simple, silly, is don't introduce effects, materials, content that is going to be difficult to display, to share, to create, to bring up on to camera at the spur of the moment. Although, and I've been doing this with a lot of my clients, is bringing in a producer. So you can have someone who is behind the scenes, who is pushing all the buttons, pulling all the levers, bringing all the guests on, bring all the comments up, bring all the banners on, and bring all the video content on while you're carrying on your conversation with your guest. So having a producer behind the scenes is a great way to keep your show smooth running, as well as keeping it interesting. So again, I know Wes does, he directs a number of shows. I direct a number of shows. Joe, I think you actually run your own show and bring all your guests one by one. And so sometimes it can be daunting if you've got an active chat room, as well as 2 or 3 different guests on your show. So by having a live stream producer director who can take care of that is a great way of keeping your show running smooth. So another thing is losing control of the interview. I know one person who, just as kind of a joke, kind of a free spirit, just kind of decided he was going to take over the interview, and basically just keep talking. So like in a interview situation, the host asks the guest a question, and the question or the answer can be short, relatively short, maybe 30, 45 seconds. It could be maybe 2 or 3 minutes, but it shouldn't be 10 minutes. And it shouldn't be a presentation. And so how do you get that back? How do you cut that person off kindly, because you don't want to insult them? And maybe this may be a talkative person. They may not even know that they're doing it. So sometimes the way to cut them off kindly is to inject a quick comment or a thought on your own, or as soon as they take a breath, you say, "That sounds really interesting. I've got some more questions." And you want to kind of definitely want to joke with the person. You don't want to insult them. You don't want to put them off. You don't want to embarrass them, because they're on the show. In most cases, most of these live streams are done for free, so you're not paying for your guests. And so they're taking time out of their day to share with your audience. So you definitely want to keep in mind that they are your guests, and it's just like as if they were a guest at your house. You're not going to embarrass them. You're not going to insult them, and you're hopefully not going to remove them from the screen. Like, oops, I think, although that may be an option, is oops, technical difficulties. Let's see if we can bring them back real quick. So again, you can play with that. Again, talk with the guests ahead of time, get a feel for who they are, what their subject is. Maybe if during the pre-interview with them, they have a tendency of talking a lot. Say, "I've got a number of questions I'd like to ask you, so we're going to break this up into smaller, give me bite-sized answers." So, and one of the biggest things you want to do with live streams, because there is no second take, is test. Make sure everything's working. If you do something new for the first time, test it out before you go live, or test it out on a unlisted private live stream so that you know it works. If it's something you're doing with your guests, test it out with your guest. Make sure they're on camera with you before you go live, so that if they're sharing their screen and they've never been on this platform before and they've never shared their screen on this platform, have them do it before the show starts. Another reason to get them on camera early, to do the pre-interview, to have them show up 10 minutes early before the show, so that you can work out all the bugs. Another thing you don't want to do is upgrade your system right before you go live. So basically, you get a pop-up on your system like, "Oh, your OS needs to update. Do you want to update your operating system?" Do not do that right before you go live. That's something you want to do late at night when your system is not being used for daily work or for live streaming. It's also in some cases, if you do your update and there's a glitch. If you're doing a weekly show, you want to do that update the day after you do your show. If you're doing a daily show, you want to do it again after the show is over, with enough time to make any corrections. Also, having two systems is a great way of doing a backup. Like again, right, I mentioned that I'm running two different computers. One computer, I am running all of the comments so that I can pull up a comment. And on this system, I'm running my banners. So I can actually I can bring this one up again. Great tips. And I can bring this up here and then take this one down. So by having two different systems running, you can actually be more interactive, quicker. So you don't have to switch between, and on this platform, there are two different tabs that you would go to bring up a banner or bring up a comment or bring up an image. So again, mentioning prepping. So you want to bring up all of your images ahead of time. So here is an image I brought up from a previous episode. This says that one of my guests was talking about some inspirational quotes. So this one is one from Steve Jobs, but it's all queued up. I'm not, as soon as the guest mentions Steve Jobs, I'm not running to the internet looking for the quote, pulling up the image, and then trying to share that image. It's all loaded into the system ahead of time. So you want to be able to load your everything at your fingertips. And again, that is where a live stream producer comes in, so that they can be the person to turn those on, turn those off, take them on at the appropriate times. And sometimes your guests will mention a website that wasn't in the prep, that wasn't in your show notes. In those cases, you can, if you decide to go looking for it. Basically, okay, well, here's the let's go to this website and type something else. So it can type in, maybe I wanted to run the speed test from the laptop, because before we ran it from the desktop. So you can add that. So while I'm talking, and I can be pulling that up, and here's the speed test, and we're ready to run the speed test here. So as you can see, I kind of fumbled around for a minute or two before I got to this. So, and it looks like actually I pulled up the wrong one. See there. So that was the speed test from the desktop. Here's the one from the laptop. So the laptop is on a Wi-Fi, and the desktop is on an Ethernet cable, so it's wired. So you can see the laptop is almost getting to this. Actually, it's a touch faster, which is interesting. So ideally, when you're connecting to the web and doing your live streams, Ethernet hardwired is always the first preference, and Wi-Fi is your second preference. If you're on DSL, you want to make sure that you have enough bandwidth to run your live stream, because some DSL programs only let you upload like 5 or 6 megabits per second, which is borderline for a live stream. So again, if you're interested in learning more, I have a number of resources. So if you go to my resource page, bsvp.com/resource, there's another number of options there. I've got a playbook for live streaming. I've got some sort resources for equipment. If you're looking to upgrade your system, if you decide you don't want to just do use your laptop computer with their camera, with a built-in camera or in the built-in mic, using a off-board USB mic is always an advantage, giving you better quality, giving you better video, and giving you a more professional look. So thank you all for watching. If you enjoy this, definitely subscribe and share. We are, again, streaming live to YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And next week we'll have one more guest, and then we'll take the month of August off to basically take a break from all this. We've been doing this for over a year, and we'll start season 2 in September. So with all the other new fall shows. So again, thank you all for watching. And here's another example of something that's all queued up and ready to go. It's our closing theme. And again, subscribe, share, and have a great week. This is Bruce Himmelblau, BSVP on site. Good day.